Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over the top 10 facets in Dota right now. These are facets that have absolutely revolutionized the heroes that have gotten them, and as a result, the heroes' win rates have likely increased. So without further ado, let's get into it. Also, I do want to say that there are so many to choose from, like literally. I mean, I went through a large portion of them, and honestly, it's really difficult to choose because there's a lot of facets that just like change heroes, you know what I mean? That just make heroes way better. For instance, something like Winter Wyvern, right? His facet that gives him attack damage based on his attack range is just really good. It makes the hero a way better laner. However, I don't think that absolutely like broke the hero because the main changes that made him good were like the changes to his W or the changes to his ulti, right? And Winter Wyvern is really good right now. But for the most part, these are going to be changes or facets that I really feel like enable these heroes to become way better. So let's get into it. On top of that, go sign up to the Game League website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. Okay, getting into number 10, we have Expanded Armature from Clockwork. If you don't know what this is, it increases the radius of Clockwork's power cogs to 330. Also, one of the changes this patch for Clockwork was that now, instead of being able to deny his own cogs, he can now hit them, and when he hits these cogs, basically what happens is he can push them towards an enemy. And so yeah, what you can do is create this really massive cog ring, which the enemy can't get out of until they proc one of the cogs. So they bump into a cog, they get mana burned and take damage, then you hit a cog at them, and that mana burns them and makes them take damage, and then you do it again. And it's really funny, it's really powerful, but the main thing that's just good about this expanded armature is how easy it is to trap multiple heroes inside of cogs. It's way easier. And so yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about this one because it's not too insane in terms of what it does. Well, I say that, but it literally makes you bounce people around like a hockey puck. Expanded armature, really good on Clockwork, makes the hero way better, far more versatile and easier to play. Then we have Patient Zero on Venomancer. This hero has really odd facets. It has the odd facet of like plague wards on people's heads, but I think Patient Zero is easily one of the best in the game. Like, honestly, it's one of the best facets in the game. What it does is it makes Venomancer's ultimate, Noxious Plague, spread an extra time. It doesn't do the initial damage, which balances it a little bit, but it still will spread a second time. So if you don't understand how Ven ulti works, you cast it on one person after like 5 seconds, it spreads to everyone around him. Then it ends. However, with this Patient Zero, it spreads again, and that is a massive slow. It's super obnoxious to play against, and especially in pubs when people are clumping up and have bad positioning, Patient Zero just goes to work and dominates. So yeah, definitely number 9 for me. Coming in at number 8, we have either of Shadow Shamans. I couldn't really pick one because honestly both of them are incredibly good, and I can't recommend either of them enough. So what the first one is that Hex can turn allies into a flock of chickens. So what's so good about Cluster Cluck is that when you turn your ally into a chicken, what happens is they can't take damage for 0.1 seconds, which can really help them avoid certain burst damage. And then on top of that, they get bonus movement speed. It's a bonus 10% movement speed. And on top of that, it also shoots out a bunch of allied chickens, making it very hard to target the ally. So it's essentially just a great save on a hero that typically just has no save option. It's more of an initiator. So it's super solid. It makes it really hard to track Shaman as well when he dies, right? Because it creates 3 other illusions on Foul Play. Foul Play is Shaman's innate, where when he dies, he turns into a chicken. Usually there's only 1 chicken, but if you do Cluster Cluck, then you get 3 other chickens as well, and it becomes really hard to finish the kill on Shadow Shaman at any point in the game. However, Massive Serpent Ward, where it turns all your Serpent Wards into 1 Serpent Ward, is really good. It's really good for the fact that it just makes it really hard to kill these Serpent Wards. Or, well, in this case, Serpent Ward, singular Serpent Ward. Because usually, let's say you have some sort of sniper, he's going to be able to take out a couple of them, right? It's not going to take a lot of time. However, with this Massive Serpent Ward, it takes far more time. Even though it has less health technically, it's the fact that you can't really like pick it apart and you can't feel good about, let's say, killing 3 or 4 or 5 of them and then getting the gold and leaving. That just doesn't work anymore. And so this Massive Serpent Ward, it does prevent you from serpent trapping people, which is the reason why I'm a much bigger fan of Cluster Cluck, but it's still really good at just making the ability harder to kill off. Coming in at number 6, we have DK Corrosive Dragon. This one was so good that it got nerfed in the 7.36a patch, and yet it's still incredibly good. If you don't know what it does, basically it makes DK's auto attacks empowered. What it does is that when you auto attack the enemy, it does 5, 10, 15, or 20 poison magic damage for 3 seconds, so up to 60 damage total, and it reduces armor by 1, 2, 3, 4, obviously depending on the level. On top of that, all of these numbers are amplified by 50% when Dragonite is in ulti form, And what's even better is that this poison is AoE. It splashes on hit when you are in Dragonite Ultimate or Dragon form, right? So basically it makes the hero have way better siege potential than he ever has because the numbers are buffed from what it used to be. It gives him minus armor, which is really good, and it synergizes with his ultimate bonus damage that he now gets, right? Dragonite gets a flat 40 damage at level 6 and 100 at level 12, which is obviously fantastic with armor reduction when you're blink stunning and trying to solo kill support. So yeah, the siege potential of this hero is better than ever. This talent allows you to farm, which is quite nice because of the AoE poison. It's not insane. It's not nearly as good as the fire one, which makes you have cleave, but it's really, really good. It takes towers like a madman, and the laning stage is insane. Coming in at number 5, we have Witch Doctor Headhunter. And I can't say how much I love this talent, or this, sorry, not talent. Everyone's calling it talent, but this facet. And the reason why is for the longest time, Witch Doctor has had the ability to one-shot creep waves. The reason why is Paralyzing Cask, the more times it bounces, the more damage it does, right? Basically, it has incremental bounces, but it got nerfed and nerfed and nerfed. To the point where you couldn't kill creeps anymore. Now, with Headhunter, the facet, Paralyzing Cask deals more damage each bounce, and it's 35 damage each bounce, which is higher than what it used to be. I believe it used to be 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on the level, so it didn't even get close to the bonus 35 damage. So it makes Cask just do a ton of damage to heroes, and it gives you the ability to just farm fast and one-shot creep camps. This is huge for a hero that also gets grease and gets to get gold from that, which is pretty good. Coming in at number 4, we have Livewire on Zeus. I thought after the changes, Zeus might fall off as a hero, but surprise, surprise, Zeus is still one of the best pub heroes in the entire game of Dota. His scaling and solid laning stage has not been nerfed, and as a result, Zeus will not be leaving your pubs. And a big part of this is due to the fact that Livewire is a very strong facet. Even though at first I actually thought it wouldn't be good. The reason why I thought Livewire wouldn't be good is what it does is, when you're close to someone, you do 7% of their max health as damage for all of your spells. However, if you're far away, you only do 2%, which obviously is pretty bad. However, the minimum damage range is at 1200 range, which is like insanely far away and is only really going to apply in your ulti. And then like for the rest, honestly, 200 range is kind of reasonable. Like, sure, you might be 400 range and then only get 5.5, 6%, but that's still better than kind of what it was in the past, considering this works on your W, it works on your Aghanim Scepter, it works on your E, and it works on your ult. So previously, last patch, Zeus only got percentage-based damage on his Q, and then max health damage on his ulti. It's been removed from his ulti, but it still works with static field. And so yeah, this Livewire is just insane damage. It's truly ridiculous how much damage you deal when you're close to people with Zeus. Coming in at number 3, we have definitely one of the best in the game, and I actually considered putting this one at number 1. I really think the top 3 here are all just incredibly solid, but Sanctuary on Void Spirit is nuts. I just played against the Void Spirit, who actually won a pub against me, and I was very impressed with how good Sanctuary actually was. Basically, Sanctuary makes Resonant Pulse an all damage barrier. That might not sound that insane, because like it's already a barrier, it just changes the damage type. But you have to understand, guys, that in Dota, physical damage barriers generally are the worst, right? The reason why is most early game damage is magical, right? Like past minute 6. It's going to be mostly magic damage. And as a result, when Void Spirit would go in the early game, he just wasn't that tanky. He wasn't that tanky because he had a physical damage barrier. He could still die to just a variety of magic damage nukes, and that feels pretty damn trash. However, now that you have Sanctuary to make this an all damage barrier, the hero is way harder to kill, as the barrier lasts 10 seconds, so super long. It's 120 base barrier at max level, and 100 per hero hit. So let's say you have Aghanim Scepter and you jump the backline and you hit 4 heroes, that's immediately a 520 barrier that blocks all types of damage. And with Ags, you can do that twice, giving you over 1,000 in barrier that blocks everything. So it doesn't mean like, oh, I picked Void Spirit into all magic damage, now my E is completely useless. That is no longer a problem. It also makes the laning stage way better because you can block magic damage nukes from heroes that are trying to harass you, especially once you hit level 3, right? The ability scales very well from 1 to 2. And so yeah, this ability, it seems kind of underwhelming for this facet. Like, it doesn't read as insane as some of the other ones do, but trust me guys, it just changes how the hero functions. Especially when it gets Aghanim Scepter, this timing is insane. Coming in at number 2, we have more Meepo. Apparently the other facet of Meepo, the Padrak or Rat Pack, whatever the heck it's called, is pretty good as well. However, I don't really understand it, and it's not nearly as good as more Meepo. more Meepo is very, very, very simple. It decreases the level in which you get to level up divided we stand, and honestly, it is just great. Instead of at level 4 having 2 Meepos, you get it at level 3. And you might be thinking, okay, but in that case, I'm only going to have either Earthbind and Poof, Poof and Ransack, or Earthbind and Ransack. I can't have all 3 abilities in both Meepos. But that doesn't matter, because first of all, they just buffed Net. So the best skill build, in my opinion, in the majority of games is Net, Ransack, and then obviously your ulti at level 3. And at this timing, it's much easier to hit because they just buffed the cast range a lot at level 1, and the projectile speed by a lot, by 20%, and so this ability is just way better. The E is always just a great trading ability, and now your Ransack, which heals you, comes online much earlier because both of the Meepos heal each other, right? So this level 3 timing where you can get on top of people, deal bonus damage with Ransack and heal with Ransack, with Meepo's incredible base stats and great movement speed, even though it just got nerfed, it's still insane, is just ridiculous. On top of that, once you hit level 24, you get actually an extra Meepo without having to take a talent. Previously, when Meepo hit level 25, he would take an extra Meepo clone. Now with more Meepo, you just get that Meepo, and so that frees up a level 25 talent, guys. And you might be like, oh, it's a level 25 talent. That doesn't matter that much. But for Meepo, it absolutely does, because this hero farms ridiculously fast, can get a lot of kills around the map, and levels up like a madman. And as a result, the level 25 talent can either be 350 health, which is very underwhelming compared to the talent -1 second Poof cast duration. This is ridiculous. Poof is usually a 1.5 second duration on cast, then it drops to 0.5. You might be like, okay, that's not a big deal. It's like late game. Do you really need to Poof faster? Yes. And the reason why is when you Mega Meepo with like 4 Meepos and you have the buffed Poof because of the 10 talent, this Poof will basically instant cast, so it cannot be avoided, right? Which is a big deal, I assure you. Otherwise, it gets avoided by like Yules and Force Staffs and, you know, whatever, BKB, whatever. You just poof on people for like 1200, 1300 damage. It is insane how much damage. I think it's way more than that, actually. It's like 1600 magic resist before resistances, or like 1750 or something. It is ridiculous, guys. Absolutely ridiculous. And so yeah, he just gets a free 25 talent now and hits his early laning stage timings better, which just makes him much more of a threat, way harder to punish early on. Oh, plus you get bonus magic resist when you level up at level 3, which is, you know, it's 10%. It's a lot in the laning stage. All right, and finally, last but not least, coming in at number 1, we have either of Axes. I know it's a bit of a cop-out, I'm kind of choosing 2, but Axe by far has, like, for any hero that got 2 good facets, Axe has the best 2. He has Call Out, which gives you more armor when you're calling, but most importantly, it increases the attack speed of enemies when you call them, and by 45, which is an insane amount of attack speed. It's a lot of attack speed, 45 for 3 seconds. And this is obviously great because when you Blade Mail call someone, you want them to hit really fast. It makes the solo kill potential or just kill potential of Axe during Blade Mail call far, far better, far better. However, and I didn't even understand that this was good until people pointed it out to me, the facet one-man army. Axe gains strength based on his armor as long as he's away from his allies. Is actually really great. You get 50% of your armor as strength. So let's say you buy a Ring of Protection, which gives you 2 armor, you will get 1 strength as long as there are no allies within a 600 distance. However, even if an ally does come in within this distance, for 5 seconds you keep the armor, which actually is very significant. It definitely matters. And like once the allies leave the radius, you just get the strength back. Now, why is this so good? Well, let's say Axe is left alone in the laning stage. All of a sudden, he just gets a ton of strength. This gives him damage to last it, and makes him much, much tankier to just overall try to outplay the opponent or farm or whatever it happens to be. And talking about farming, you get a ton of strength, and as a result, it's much easier to take ancient camps without dropping to an absolutely pitiful HP pool, which requires you to buy salves, which certainly would happen with the other facet. On top of that, when you call, you get bonus armor. That's how the ability works. This bonus armor from call is actually turned into strength. I think it's 10 strength when you use max call. It makes you ridiculously tanky and very hard to play against when he's alone and in the side lanes. Sure, in team fights, it does actually go away and then you basically have nothing, but it lingers for 5 seconds, so it makes the hero really tanky, very hard to deal with, and as I said, when he gets left alone, Axe tends to be a pretty bad hero. He has to farm neutrals. Now, with this one-man army, he's much more of a threat alone, just due to his naturally high HP pool and how tanky he can get, especially during call. And also, last thing to say about one-man army, when you call people in team fights and you get this bonus strength, it means that the damage that they're dealing to you is almost completely fake, because they're dealing damage to this bonus strength that will go away because allies will likely then be in Axe's radius, right, in the next 5 seconds or whatever. Axe easily has the best 2 facets in the entire game. Call Out is ridiculous. One Man Army is wonderful as well. Honestly, if I had to pick one, apparently One Man Army has a better win rate. I think Call Out is a little bit more consistent, but you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe to the channel and like the video if you haven't, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.